Evening, folks. Door pin is all wallered out and it's making my door go all over. So I'm fixing that. Got to weld a bit there. Drill this hole out. I don't think this is hardened. Nope. Let's try this. Nope. Looks like mild steel. We're going to be okay there, except I'm running low on argon because I made a bunch of these. You should buy one of these if you can. You know, these are flagpole mounts I made a good batch of these. And, TIG welded, pretty thick steel, pretty, unique design, I would say. But the real special part about these specific flagpole mounts is that they actually, the way they're designed, they actually will not support a rainbow flag. Actually, rainbow flags just they kind of fall out of here or whatever. So, and not too much luck with like Black Lives Matter flags either. So it's kind of like an interesting built-in design feature. But yeah, I buy some of those because they're not giving us enough overtime at the Dayton Phoenix over there. But anyway, working on this, getting all riled up about the communion wars going on. Just all these people coming out of the woodworks. I'm leaving the Catholic Church if they do this because this is bad. I was on the fence already. Go. Just get out. Like, you're not going to, the church is not going to disintegrate because you and your, 1-2 time mass a year people want to leave a church or whatever. Like, it's not going to collapse. It's going to be fine. You also realize it's like spread throughout the whole globe. One holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. It's been around for centuries and centuries, and it's in literally every country of the world. And the fact that a couple Karens and some people who just want to get all riled about the abortion thing. I want to do what I want. And I want to support other people's right to do what they want. Screw the Catholic Church. Like to think that it's going to collapse because of that. Like whatever. And then there's the whole tax the church people or whatever. We need to tax the church. The Catholic Church is gone on too long or whatever. You know what I think is hilarious is that these people will get all riled about, the Catholic Church abusing little boys and stuff like that. When like at the same on the other end of the culture war, they're like pushing for all this stuff. It's all these same sort of people who are like, any age can consent, pedophilia in our government's fine. But yeah, we're going to try and use that to hammer the Catholic Church over the head. Like, you guys are a bunch of pedo supporting, rainbow flag waving kind of people. It's all the same. It's all the same stuff. And it's been predicted by a lot of people. I mean, my father always said this, that the whole gay movement thing, it was just going to be used as a club to beat the church into submission. That's all it was going to be. And he said that like 20 years ago and stuff like that. And hey, pretty much coming true. But yeah, I'm working on this. Probably gonna weld this up, and then I gotta weld this up, and I'm gonna drill it out, take a measurement, see what we're working with here. I noticed somebody else jumped on the chat, but then they must have logged out when they heard that I wasn't, a friend of the queers. 250,000. Okay, so that's a roll pin, so there's a little bit of swap in there. That'll be pretty good. But another thing about this communion wars that's getting me all riled up is like all these people coming out, okay, pretty much being like, oh, well, this is what the Eucharist means to me, and this is what it means to me. Like, I was talking to a Presbyterian guy, and like he didn't really know much, but I was trying to ask him about like the differences in the faith or whatever, and he couldn't even really answer it. But he was trying to say that like their communion, God is present, Jesus Christ is present, and like when you consume the host, which isn't literally God's flesh, he like comes into you spiritually or something like that. So I don't know, but like apparently like 3/4 of Catholics or something, people who say they're Catholic, don't believe in the real presence, which is a very fundamental Catholic doctrine. So I don't even know why this is a problem. And then I don't understand why there's all these other people who don't even believe it's the real presence. Like they're getting so upset about it not being given to Joe Biden. Like there's definitely like something demonic going on here with all these people just like gnashing their teeth and screaming to give communion to these like pro-aborts and stuff like that. And then there's the people, even like Father Casey, was kind of along this train where it's like, oh well, we gotta refuse communion to people who support wars and this and that and that and that. And it's like, first thing I want to say about that is that there's a difference between like sinning, we all sin, as in like we transgress the laws of God. We all do that. But to remain stubbornly obstinate, which is kind of redundant, but to remain obstinate in your refusal to accept the teachings of the church, specifically on these grave matter issues, abortion, same-sex marriage, sodomy, all this sort of stuff. Like, you refuse to do that despite being informed that it's the teaching of the church. And I don't know what to tell you. I don't know like why you want to be Catholic then. Like, you people want to treat it as a democratic sort of organization, or if you just get enough loudmouths in there, then the church is going to get with the times or whatever. It's like, no, it's not. Okay, it's just gonna get persecuted, and then it's gonna shrink and stuff like that, and then society will collapse like it always does and stuff like that, and it's gonna be the only real force left, like it always is. But like all these people, I'm leaving the church, or I dare you to deny me communion or whatever. Like, you guys don't understand what you're doing. You don't understand what you're saying. Like, you'd be much better off in the long run if you would just like let it be. Don't even get involved in this. You don't even understand what you're saying or doing, but you don't understand the implications of it either. Like, I don't know. You're gonna have to make an account for all the stuff that you say and do now. And like, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but like, man, you people that are that obstinate and supporting abortion and supporting sacrilegious Holy Communion, like, this was foretold by Our Lady in various apparitions, that sacrilege of the Blessed Sacrament, that her son would be trampled, under the filthy feet of, heretics and pagans, pretty much, which is going on. Like, people don't believe it's the real presence. And like, another thing I don't understand is that you can't receive communion when you're in a state of mortal sin, but you're not required to receive communion every Sunday. You're obliged to go to Mass every Sunday, but you're not required to receive communion every time. That's why you can like go to confession and stuff and get right, and not receive in a state of mortal sin and commit sacrilege. But I don't know. Apparently, nobody cares about slapping the Lord in the face. They just think it's going to be all fine or whatever. I don't even know why there's so many people who they want to like hold to this paradigm so much, like, oh, I'm Catholic, I've been Catholic my whole life, and now I can't be Catholic, and tax the churches, the Catholic Church is going to regret this. No, they're not going to regret anything except maybe having a bunch of terrible bishops in charge for the last 50 years. And like, to a certain extent, there's all these people who are like in their 50s and 60s now who have been in Catholic school, who had gone through Catholic school and had been part of the church for their whole lives, and now like, this is the first time they're hearing about this, that like you can't receive communion in a state of mortal sin, that's a great sacrilege and it's like a damnable offense. Like, I don't understand how, well, I do understand how, actually. I just don't want to believe it's true, but it is that like, everybody's been so poorly catechized that they don't even understand that's what we believe, is that's literally the body and blood of Christ. And then like, people who are jumping in on this, then they get mad. Oh, that's like bizarre. It's cannibalistic. It's weird or whatever. It's like, well, like, go to another church then, because that's kind of the defining characteristic of Catholicism, among other things. But like, we're the only ones who have that. And like, sure, the Orthodox like have a valid communion, but they just stole it. They're just a bunch of spiritual thieves that like to act like they're better. I don't know why. Like, let me ask you this, Orthodox people. Like, if Orthodoxy is the real religion and stuff, and Catholicism is just like wrong, then why did Our Lady go to the Catholics to have Russia consecrated to her Immaculate Heart? I don't believe it's happened yet properly, and I'm not saying it has, but like, why did she go to the Catholics if the Orthodox just like have their shit together? Why wouldn't she have gone to the Orthodox in Russia to say, hey, consecrate this land? Like, she wanted to go to the Catholics. She wanted the Pope to do it. Like, why? What do you say to that? I guess you either got to say it didn't happen, or is one of these false apparitions or something like that. But like, man, you Orthodox are killing me. Like, you guys are gonna convert. At least Russia is gonna. Like, you're gonna do it. You might as well do it sooner rather than later. I don't know, but yeah. Otherwise, none of these Protestant branches have it. Like, it's the Catholic Church or bust. I don't even know why you would bother being in some other like Christian denomination if you're not going to be Catholic. Like, it's like, you don't have anything. There's a guy at work who was, he didn't know I was Catholic. I think he was going on about how Luther left the church and started that because the Catholics were taking everybody's money and saying that they're going to get people to heaven by paying them money or whatever. And it's just like, whatever, dude. Like, you don't even like know about all the other stuff that he took out, that he took books out of the Bible, and he changed the sacraments and stuff like that, eliminated sacraments, that he had a false vocation. Like, he's a very evil guy. And like the fruits of this whole Protestant Reformation thing have just been terrible. Like, there's no reason to like be involved in that. Like, you're a heretic. You've eliminated these sacraments. You don't believe in the real presence. Like, you don't follow the proper authority structure instituted by Christ. Like, look, I'm not thrilled about the state of the Catholic Church, but another thing I don't understand is, like, who has their shit together as an organization that, like, you can point to? Like, look, the church is a mess. It's like within the grips of like the world Masonic communist plot or whatever, like, I understand that, and it really pisses me off and like genuinely grieves me. But like, just looking from the outside in as an organization, like, what organization is out there that like really has all this shit together? Like, you can't look at the government. They're a bunch of like pedophilic megalomaniacs too. They're a bunch of, dictatorial communist whack jobs themselves. Like, I don't know why you would trust the government over that. The government that like kind of has the ability to like oppress people and like kill people and throw them in prison. Like, man, like that's not the Catholic Church anymore. I say anymore because, like, yeah, they did have influence over the court systems and stuff, like, rightfully so. That's actually like an authority that's coming outside of like, the world. It's actually coming from God, the proper authority. Whereas government, where's the authority of the U.S. government come from now? It's pretty much like might makes right at this point. Like, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know why you would like rather have the government in charge and stuff. Like, they're just a bunch of money grubbers and closet pedophiles and demon worshippers and Satanists and just like nut jobs as well. I'll see if I have any argon left. Just got a wallet out. See if I can, weld something up a bit. Down pig change. I mean, like, I try to at least still be a useful person. Everybody else is just completely like useless these days. Not everybody else, but I mean, like, genuinely the culture. I don't know, like, all these people are pushing our country to like a condition that they're not even going to be able to survive because they don't even like have any skills or anything like that. And then the people that do have skills, like, they don't usually like have the spiritual element of it, that like stuff's going to get really weird and stuff's going to get really crazy. You're not going to handle it if you're not in the right. That's some pretty dirty metal. 1998. You don't want to flow very nicely. I'll let that cool for a little bit. Weld some of this guy in too, and then I'll drill him out after. Woo! And it filled up pretty nicely. Yeah, I don't know what else should I rant about right now. Like apparently Joe Biden, talking tough because he's in charge of the government. He's got nukes or whatever, so your AR-15 is going to do no good because he's got F-15s or whatever. Like, man, what a jerk he is. Like, do you guys get it now? Like that he was like a terrible human being and absolutely a terrible candidate for president. Like, man, we need Trump. Trump. Alright, that one's pretty nicely filled. Good and hot. I'll let that simmer down for a little bit. And then we're going to get a nice tight fit on that hole there. Got to finish filling this other one in. Pretty good to be able to weld, We can do a lot of stuff. You know what? Too in the last like 2 days, I've had like 3 or 4 different instances where like people on Catholic Twitter like they say something and try and like be funny or snarky, and then like I say something that's like even more snarky, and then they can't take it, so they delete their comment. Like, where's the freaking accountability, you big babies? I'm talking, that Orthodox guy, even that Picatrix chick or whatever. Who else was it? Some other guy did the same thing, and it's like, dude, quit being such a chicken shit. All right, you said something, and then you want to think you're so hilarious and clever and stuff, and then somebody else comes and like, out clevers you or whatever. Just leave it up. Have some integrity, especially trying to be Catholics and stuff like that. It's like, we could see you deleted the comment, and I'm just gonna start taking screenshots of all this stuff and like post it up afterwards. Like, sick of everyone being a big baby all the time. Everybody, like on all sides, like people need to quit being offended so much. It's just like toughen up, especially if you're Catholic. Like, all these people. I watched that talk with Michael Voris at the I forget where it was, but like Father Altman was there and stuff like that. And then like he asked everybody who here would die for the faith, who would die for Jesus or whatever. It was like a men's conference, so of course everybody raises their hand. Yeah, I would die a horrible death. Throw me to the lions. This, and then he was like, who's confronted their priest when they said something wrong, or like, who like has talked to the family members about like coming back to the faith and stuff. And it was like hardly anybody did. It's like everybody wants to say they're going to do well when like the stakes are high or whatever. But like it's even scriptural. If you're responsible in small matters, then you'll be responsible in great matters. But like it's not the other way around. You don't rise to the occasion and like you just slack off on all this little stuff, and then when the real big fight comes, like you're gonna jump in and be a hero or whatever. Like, you guys, yeah, and obviously, I'm being a little facetious or whatever. I'm not saying like, you're a terrible Catholic because you delete a comment on Twitter, but I think people should have a little more integrity. If you say something stupid, just like leave it up, own up to it. Big babies. Yeah, and apparently they're always talking about Taylor Marshall in the Vatican. Did you hear that? Spider-Man got to go meet the Pope today, and so Taylor Marshall wanted to remind everybody what a hero he is. So he posted a picture of him when he met Pope Francis and gave him a copy of his book Infiltration, which actually is kind of like a pretty good power move, but I think it's actually hilarious. I wonder if he read it or if he just like threw it in the trash. But like it's actually pretty hilarious. I thought that was funny when I found that out. But Taylor Marshall reminding you that Spider-Man's not the only hero to ever meet the Pope. Freaking Chrysler pot steel. Yeah, I'm running pretty low on argon now. I don't know how well it's going to go. I don't know, let this cool and drill it out. I don't know. I thought I had more stuff to rant about, but I wanted to rant about the Orthodox and I wanted to rant about the people getting mad about Joe Biden getting denied communion and stuff. Like, yeah, more people need to be denied communion. That's the whole point. And if this brings this whole issue to the forefront, then like I'll be glad that it happened. But like in the meantime, I never understood this. Like if people were like, oh well, then you got to deny these people communion, you got to deny these people communion. Yeah, it's like all these people, should have been being denied communion this whole time, but it hadn't got brought up. So if stupid Joe Biden touting his Catholicism and bringing this issue up is what like causes more people to like reflect on it and cause people who shouldn't be in the church to leave the church. I mean, not that people shouldn't be in the church. Everybody should be in the church, but like you shouldn't be in the church if you're profaning the body and blood and soul and divinity of the Lord Jesus Christ with your filth and your obstinance to accept the laws of God. Then you should get out of the church. And like we're not going to miss you, okay? Like man, the traditional communities are growing, and like we're going to be the future of it. Like the Novus Ordo is just like. It's valid. The communion's valid. Like I've even heard Father Ripper say, like the demonic and exorcism involved in the Blessed Host. They don't distinguish between new rite and old rite communion because it's both fully God. But at the same time, he also said that the Novus Ordo is the only like form of the liturgy that's not derived from like the apostles, fairly directly, like the other rituals are. But like it's not, and like. Even look at the Protestant churches. They've all, despite embracing all this like modernist stuff and all this like leftist nonsense that the women priests and the gay marriage and the this and the that and the that and the this and you could do whatever you want because God loves you. He died for our sins. Like all those churches like have declined, and none of those churches have been surging in numbers despite letting people do whatever they want. And it's just bogus. Like what's going to attract people to the Catholic Church is that it's remained stalwart in its doctrines, but it's like pretty much dropped the ball on a lot of that. And then the sex abuse thing, like they really dropped the ball on that. And but I still think it's funny how there's people out there who want to be like, oh, you should have left the Catholic Church when that broke, but then like they support it. They probably watched that stupid pedo movie that came out a couple years ago, and like they probably support right to consent at all age, or oh no, I'm not a pedophile, I've killed pedophiles, man. Like obviously pedophilia is like wrong and horrible and evil and disgusting, but I think there's a lot of guys who like get really excited like about like pedophiles and stuff like that because they, in their mind at least, it's like something that really justifies violence and stuff like that. Like it's so terrible that it justifies them, trying to be a macho man or whatever. Like whatever. But like people want to use that to say that the Catholic Church needs to be taxed and snuffed out of existence or whatever, when they're like supporting the same stuff at the same time. So like, is it wrong or is it not? Like, I don't know. Because it wasn't consensual, raping altar boys. That's why I was wrong. But, pedophilia is fine when, you're pretending that little kids can consent and stuff like that. And all this other crap. There's so much crap flowing. Like, I heard in the talk, Father Ripper said that every civilization that has reached this point that we're at, like morally, like nobody's degraded this far, and the only thing that's propping us up is like financial fraud and technology. That if it wasn't for those things, then like we would have been mercifully collapsed a long time ago, but we're not. We just keep like wallowing deeper and deeper into hell, and it's pretty rough. Like there's repercussions for all this sort of stuff, and people want to whine and say, I don't want to live my life in guilt, I don't want to live my life being afraid of fairy tales and big mean man in the sky or whatever. But like, man, there's repercussions for stuff, and like you're gonna have to face that. And I'm like, I'm not trying to scare you or nothing like that. Like obviously you're not gonna be scared by stuff you don't believe in. Like I understand that, but like in a world where there's no repercussions for anything, like that's certainly not like a just world. People cry that God's not just because he lets people suffer and stuff like that. But if there's no God, then like there's definitely no justice, and there's definitely no right and wrong, and there's definitely no reason to like whine about stuff being a grave injustice, because like justice wouldn't even exist. Justice is rendering to one what is their due, and specifically religion is a subset of the virtue of justice in the sense that is rendering to God what is due. So like other religions aren't like really religions. It's just demon worship and nonsense. Like Catholicism is the only religion in that proper sense that it is what is giving God his due, his due worship or whatever. And so, I was listening to another talk by him, people whining about the Novus Ordo being unfulfilling or whatever, or any mass really just being unfulfilling because it was boring or whatever. But it's not about you. It's actually all about God and stuff like that. And like people get mad about that and whatever. We're like a thoroughly Luciferian society. People worship themselves and stuff. And that's where if I ever get into conversations with people and they're like, if I talk about like the demonic and stuff like that, they're like, well, I've never encountered that or whatever. It's like, well, you worship yourself. You're thoroughly Luciferian as it is. I was just talking to my fiance about this actually, that like, how people say about sins and stuff like, oh, I don't think God cares about I'm living with my girlfriend or boyfriend, or I'm using contraception or this or that. Like, does the creator of the universe really care about all these things? It's like, well yeah, because he's omnipotent and all-knowing, meaning that he sees all of time, all of everybody's thoughts and words and actions, that they've ever said or thought or done. He sees all of that for everybody all at the same time, like in one big, all at the same time. And it's incredible because that's what it means to be all-knowing and all-powerful. But like the demonic, they're not in that category. So conceivably, yeah, you could say Satan has bigger fish to fry than you, especially if you're already living a habitual life of sin and you already like reject God and stuff like that. Like, yeah, he's not going to be showing up in any sort of way in your life, because honestly, it would keep you more in darkness if they just kind of left you alone to your own devices, like thinking that you're this great light in the world and you do whatever you want. You do whatever you want because you're a real man. Yeah. And they're not going to bother with you or whatever. But like God cares because he's all knowing and he's all loving and all good. And to love is to will the good of another for their own sake. And so if God has perfect love for every human, yeah, he doesn't want you to sin, and he will send suffering your way if it will purify you of that. And people just, people don't want to suffer. People just want to be offended, and people want to do whatever they want, like pretty much what it boils down to is like, all these people just want to worship themselves and do what feels good. They just want my wee to feel good. I don't care what a big mean guy in the sky has to say. Like, that's pretty much like what sums it up. Like, people can act tough and act like they're doing what they want to do, and they're just really being stupid in the end. But yeah, like Satan might have bigger fish to fry, so he's not going to like show up in your life because you're already like doing what he wants. You're already kind of paying the deposit on your, place in hell pretty much. But like God sees everything all at once, because that's what it means to be all knowing. He's not like distracted. He can't only focus on one thing at once. That's what it means to be all knowing. That's like a core attribute of God, kind of part of his nature. So yeah, I don't know. That was pretty random and stuff like that. But like, that's why I like ranting. I just kind of sit here and weld a little bit, and I'll have to buff this off and then drill that hole, try and fix all this stuff. Like, this stuff's always kind of a pain in the ass, is these door pins. But like, I don't know, it's probably like a dealer only part. These things in here, probably just clean this out a little bit, re-grease it or whatever. Put some WD on there. I see a little bit of wear on there, so this might need to be fixed. But yeah, I'm gonna buff that off, and I might even be able to use this same roll pen, and maybe the door will work a little bit better. But I think that's all I got for now. I wanted to make videos and stuff, but nobody ever watches them, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to edit and stuff. So like, I'm just gonna do these until maybe like more people will like watch my videos or whatever, or maybe not, because it's not fun or whatever. But whatever, I had fun making it. Don't be an idiot. Be penitent. Love the Lord. Understand what that means, and leave the Catholic Church if you don't want to follow it.